Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Slain Hope. I got another video for y'all. Today we got another law on the 48 laws of power. This one is law number 23. Concentrate your forces. The judgment says, conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by fleeing from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. When looking for a source of power to elevate you, find the one key Patreon, the fat cow who will give you milk for a long time to come. Now, this law has a lot of different examples, so bear with me. I got a few examples for y'all. So it says conserve your forces and energies and keep them concentrated at their strongest point. Now, a lot of times this may apply to war, right? But it applies in other different things. For example, most people, it's psychologically proven that they cannot focus on too many things at once, right? You have people that do multitask and they do a whole bunch of different things in their life at the same time and throughout the day. But it's proven that the efficiency of your work is not going to be the best of your work because you're not concentrating your energies on one specific thing at a time. You're doing 1,000 things. It's almost like having a conversation with people. And you ever notice like somebody's trying to talk to you, but they're reading a book or they're reading something on social media and they miss out on things that you might have said? It's because they're not concentrating on one specific thing. Their thoughts is and their focus is all over the place. So it's similar. In the hood, when you have a lot of beef, when you make a lot of enemies, right? And that could be, from whatever, right? You can make a whole bunch of enemies with gangs, with blocks, with whoever, with different people. It's hard for you to concentrate on a specific target. For example, if you get into something and somebody, let's say somebody makes an attempt on your life, or somebody makes an attempt on your business, or they try to sabotage, whatever. Let's just say attempt on your life. It's gonna be very hard for you to concentrate on somebody specific because you have beef with everybody. You have beef with 10 different crews. You don't know who to really go after. You don't know who to really step to. And you don't know who probably did this. So you can't really concentrate all your energies. If you do got a little team of people to be able to retaliate, you can't really focus on anything. This is some of the things that hurt Germany in World War II, right? They spread themselves too far. A lot of times this happens to a lot of empires. When the Roman Empire, they spread themselves too far. You can't watch every corner of your empire. It has happened to countless people, countless organizations. It happened to the Black Panther Party, right? When they became a national organization, they couldn't really keep track of who was coming into the organization and who was, mischievous or who was, plotting certain things. They couldn't keep track of it because so many people came into the fold. So again, they didn't know how to concentrate their energies. It also says you gain more power by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the key patron and the fat cow who will give you milk for a long time. For example, when you are, let's say, a nonprofit organization. A lot of times nonprofit organizations, they take money from other people. To kind of like build up. They take donations, they take grants, they take a whole bunch of things. In this case, it's talking about it's easier to get all your money from one place than to be asking different people for different money. Just think about you, for example. If you're trying to borrow money for whatever reason, right? Let's just say you need some money and you're trying to borrow some money. It's smarter to just go to one bank and just owe this one bank than to borrow from a whole bunch of different banks. And now you got to remember how many banks you borrow from. You got to remember how many people you got to pay back. So the same case applies to this, right? When you extend yourself, and the other thing was about protecting yourself, right? So when you extend yourself so far, you don't know where the attack going to come from. In this case, when you're looking for funding, when you're looking for the help financially, and you taking money from so many people, it can become a problem when it's time to repay and pay them back. Another example that I can use is the Black community, for example. We are not focused on one goal. We are not focused on one mission. We are not focused on where exactly it is that we want to go. So we are a fragmented community that is all over the place. We don't know if we want to fight for gay rights. We don't know if we want to fight for women rights. We don't know if we want to fight for the immigrants. We don't, from the diaspora. We don't know if we want to fight for just strictly black issues. We don't know if we want to fight for politics. We don't know if we want to fight for abortion. We just are not in alignment. We are not in agreement. We are not focusing our energies on one thing. You have people that will come forward and say, oh, but we can fight for all of those things at the same time. I just gave you an example earlier on, and it's also psychologically proven that people cannot focus on too many different tasks very efficiently at the same time, which is why this law is saying concentrate your forces, right? It's telling you to focus on one thing at a time if you want to be able to work on it to the best of your ability. And some of y'all know that. You know, when you're distracted, you're not gonna really pay attention to certain things. And I think that's some of the things that that's plaguing the black community. We're not really focused. We're not really putting all our energies in one basket because we're fighting, and we're also being attacked from different angles, right? We have issues with, you know, we have issues, internal issues, and then we have issues from without our community. So when it's time for us to kind of like try to concentrate on something, there's always something going on from different ways, and this is how we are being distracted and we are being defeated, right? I'm gonna read y'all another thing. It says the arrow. You cannot hit two targets with one arrow. If your thoughts stray, you miss the enemy's heart. Mind and arrow must become one. Only with such concentration of mental and physical power can your arrow hit the target and pierce the heart. So yeah, for example, if you're shooting, this, in this case they use the arrow, right? When you have a bow and arrow, people who have done bowing and arrowing before, whatever it's called, you know you got to be extremely focused. The moment you lose your attention, the moment you lose gaze, you look somewhere else, you're gonna lose your concentration. The same thing happens with shooting, right? If you're shooting, it's harder to focus on the moving target, and it's harder to focus if it's a lot of stuff going on around you. So the point of this law is to whatever it is that you're working on, you have to be able to focus. For example, I'll give you another example. In the book, it talks about the Rothschilds and how they became a successful family, right? And the things that they did was they worked together. They started their business by lending people money, right? They made their money through interest. You know, I lend you money and I charge you for lending you money, high rates. This is where this whole banking interest rate system comes from. You know what I'm saying? I didn't tell you that. But they made their riches and their fortune from lending money. And what they did was they made this a family business. They made it a tight, small group of people. The first person that started this, he only employed his family, and he kept a tight group, because the moment you expand, the moment you have too much people working for you, you gotta watch too many people, and it's hard to watch too many people. So he kept it a tight knit, small community of workers, right, which is family. I don't see nothing wrong with that. And this is how they was able to succeed, right, throughout the years. And that's something that we can probably learn from, right? To just, I tell people all the time, stay small, work with people you can trust, and just move. Because the bigger you get, I know y'all want to save the world, y'all want to save everybody, but the bigger you get, it's always going to be harder. Now, when it comes to the reversal of this law is this. There are dangers and concentrations and moments when dispersion is the proper tactical move. You know, so for example, sometimes when you are the smaller group or the weaker group, this is speaking like militarily, sometimes it's good to have guerrilla warfare, right? Meaning to spread your forces out, because when you're a smaller group fighting against a bigger group, and if they know your target, if they know where all of y'all are at, and they know y'all whole numbers, then it's easier to defeat y'all, right? You can just blow it up, send a missile. I know it's not going to be no more soldiers, right? But when they don't really have an idea how many soldiers there are, all right, so when you spread out your small group into factions, you can trick the enemy into thinking that is a lot of y'all, when in reality it's not really a lot of y'all. So the reversal of the law is, in this case, it's the only smart time to kind of like be all over the place and disperse yourself and not concentrate your forces in one specific place. But this is still a tactic. And this is just to try to get the bigger enemy to think that it's a whole bunch of y'all when there really isn't. And so this kind of like frustrates them, and it makes them think that it's more y'all when it, you know, like I said, when it's really only a small group. But because y'all staging so many different attacks in so many different places, it looks like it's a lot of y'all. So let me know what y'all thoughts are. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.